All right, good morning, traders. Today is January 10th, 2025. My name is John Carrigan. I moderate the BYOB Trading Room. We do day trading in here. All right, so good morning. Thank you, everybody out there in digital land. I'm talking about Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, anybody out there on my cyberspace. Thank you for so much for finding value in my content. Appreciate that. All right, my SPY pivot this morning, 587.50. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. All of the Fab 5 are still in daily downtrends. All made lower lows and lower highs, closing below their traps under their 17 EMAs. SPY closed with a 2-hour downtrend and a 10-minute uptrend. Gold in a downtrend made a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. Silver still in a downtrend, made a lower low and a lower high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. Let me just say, gold is looking much stronger than silver at this point. UNG in an uptrend made a higher low and a higher high, closing over a trap over the 17. USO in an uptrend, also both energy in an uptrend, UNG and USO. USO in an uptrend made an outside day. That's a higher high and a lower low, closing inside a bullish trap over the 17. US dollar index continues to bully as it's still in an uptrend, closing near the 109.16 area. All right, let's go take a peek at some charts. Move this out of the way. Let's pull up SPY. Let's find the scratch chart. All right, so here's our scratch chart. We've got a, I don't know if we filled that gap. I'm going to have to check that out later. Right here on, not yesterday, because we were closed yesterday in observance of Jimmy Carter. Let me just say, he's a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat, but I mean, Habitat for Humanity, he did do some good. He was not a loudmouth president, but really a nice president. Of course, we didn't have social media back then, so not as much could be said about him. It was mainly whatever the press chose to print, okay? But all in all, I everybody says he's the worst president. He had the oil crisis, but let me just say the Habitat for Humanity is still alive today. I'm seeing bricks and mortar stores out there now with Habitat for Humanity. So he goes down in the history books as not a bad president. All right, just pretty good. He got a tough economic situation and some other stuff happening at the same time. I don't know if the CIA got him in trouble or they seem to get everybody in trouble. But anyways, I'm not a political guy. I just want to say, we took yesterday off mourning for Jimmy Carter. All right, so back to business. All right, so on the 10-minute, all right, on the 10-minute chart, 10-minute uptrend going into the close. All right, look for a continuation of that 10-minute uptrend. On the 2-hour chart, still a 2-hour downtrend. On the daily chart, still a daily downtrend. All right, so let's take a look at weekly chart. Weekly chart, still a weekly uptrend. All right, so daily chart, still in a downtrend. All right, so for SPY game plan this morning, all right, we've got the pivot at 587.50. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. My bearish red erases green entry is still 585.66. Underneath that, I want to be a bear. Okay, and my bullish green erases red entry up here, 591.01. All right, so 591.01. I want to be a bull over that. I don't know how far we're going to get. Max Payne's 590. They might spike 591, and we'll see if we can get get on top of 591 and hold that area for, at least 5 or 6 10-minute candles up there. So over 591, that's my bullish green erases red. All right. Underneath 585.66, that's my red erases green. All right. That's just the morning one. Now, as price gets going later in the day, things may change. We may move the the short strike, or the red erases green might get moved up to the pivot area. We'll see what happens. All right. So there's the game plan for SPY. All right, let's take a look at the daily chart again, and we're going to go over to QQQ. QQQ's got a game plan as well. Let's flip back to the 10. QQQ game plan, all right, up over 515, well, 515.88. I'm a bull. Over 515, yeah, over 515.88. I'm a bull. Underneath it, I'm a bear. Okay, SPY pivot is 515.88. On the bullish side, price over 517.25. That would be the green erases red entry up there, 517.25. Over that, that's my green erases red entry. And my red erases green entry is at 512.74. So we'll see what happens today. Okay, so the 10-day ATR is 865. Today is an options expiration day for the weeklies and some of them, not the monthlies. The monthlies come tomorrow. But anyways, it's very possible they find a spot and pin it there. So we'll see what happens. All right, so there's QQQ. On the daily chart, still in a downtrend. You can see here, just like SPY, lower low, lower high, closing underneath the bearish trap, underneath the 17 EMA, and underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. So there's QQQ. All right, let's move this up to here. Oh, we already got one up there. All right, so let's just move this one down to here. Okay, so there's QQQ. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow did the same candle, lower high, lower low, closing under the bearish trap, under the 17 EMA. Diamond Dow also in a downtrend. All right, looking like we got a possible triple bottom here on Diamond Dow, but they don't seem to be ready to move up. They just seem to be consolidating more and more and more. So it looks like Diamond Dow setting up for another leg to the downside. We'll see what happens. Let's take a look at IWM. IWM doing about the same thing as Diamond Dow. Multiple touches down here at the midpoint. Much more than 3. They're not giving up. Tells me they really want to go south a little bit further. I don't know how much further. But there's IWM in a downtrend. You can see the daily candle. Same thing as the other 4. All right, lower high, lower low, closing underneath the trap, underneath the falling 17, underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP right there. Okay, let's take a look at FNGU. This is the market mover right here, FNGU. Price action, same as the other 4, lower high, lower low, closing under the trap, under the flat 17 here, underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP, underneath the downtrend line, okay? But let me just point out, FNGU is still in quadrant 4, whereas IWM and Diamond Dow were down here leaning on the midpoint of quadrant 2, or, well, quadrant 3, the low side of quadrant 3 right in here. So they were leaning on that, while FNGU is still in the upper third, actually still in the upper quarter up here. So FNGU still holding that bull flag, looking for another breakout to the upside. We'll see. Right now they got a downward wedge. Maybe they spike down and come right back up and then rip higher. We'll see what happens. FNGU on the daily chart. Let's take a look at our technicals. T2122. You can see price action for Friday. We spent the day, we came down here to the oversold zone, made some a lower high, came back into the oversold zone, made a higher low, fought our way out of the oversold zone into the sell zone. Did not get far yesterday on Wednesday, T2122. T2123, 15-minute chart. Price action, you can see big rip to the downside. Bulls kind of push them back. And you can see selling at the beginning of the day, and then a little bit of buying or a rest. It looks more like a rest because we certainly didn't fill the bearish gap. Okay, notice another bearish gap that didn't get filled. Got another bearish gap over here that didn't get filled. All right, anytime you see bearish gaps that don't get filled, that spells weakness. All right, so we could see a reversal today if we get up to 590, 591. I'm just saying, if they don't put in a significant higher high, price action could come flooding back down to 585, possibly even 580. That's the big fat whole round number. It's usually a target for price action, and maybe even lower down to 575. We'll see what happens. This is T2123. Looking like it's ready to bounce premature to the all-time high right there, a prior all-time high. We'll see what happens, okay? Again, we're not filling any bearish traps, so that's a clue that there's still weakness out in the market. T2123. Back to the 15-minute chart. Again, you can see we're underneath that falling 200 as well. Back to T2123, 3-bar chart. Again, same chart, only on a 3-bar. All right, that's 3 equal segment. That's the whole trading day divided up into 3 equal segments. Okay, you can see price action here, putting in a bear flag, and then we've got a spike down to the downside. All right, I'm seeing a little bit of tails down here. It's possible they come up to the 17. I don't know. We'll see. Again, I see weakness underneath. Now, if they fill that gap, it's not the same thing. All right, but weakness, unable to fill that gap on Wednesday. All right, so there's T2123, 3-bar chart. Again, another bear flag, an extended flag here, and now breaking out to the downside. FNGU indicator. Right here, FNGU is on 15-minute, where we are, 8 right here. 15-minute, no, we want the 15-minute. Okay, so 8 right here. All right, we've got FNGU. You can see price action just melting underneath the 200 SMA right here. Okay, melting underneath the 200, but keep in mind, it's still up in quadrant 4. Okay, notice it's not spiking down or falling out of the sky. It's just simply melting back. So still a little bit of strength left in FNGU. Possible spike to the downside, and then maybe a possible quick rip right back up. We'll see. FNGU still looking strong up here in quadrant 4, just not moving up at this time. They have their moments, okay? You can see they get a battery of 2 to 3 days to the upside, and then they melt off back down to the base. Then they get 2 or 3 days to the upside, and then they, just like yesterday, just like a Wednesday, then they melt off back to the base. So we'll see what happens, FNGU. But they have visited this once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times already, okay? So it's more than 3, all right? So it's a possibility they want to go lower, all right? I don't know how much lower, but with this kind of price action, I don't think it wants to go much lower. So you could see a candle come down to here and then watch for the bulls to step in and bring it right back up, all right? So there's FNGU on the 15-minute. Let's take a look at some sectors this morning, all right? And let's go take a look at, well, let's look at energy. First, we'll look at XLE, all right? Well, there's a nice candle for XLE this morning. Is that today? Yeah, XLE's kind of breaking out. No bull flag here, and then breaking out. Okay, XLE still in a downtrend. That's a daily downtrend. It might be in a 2-hour uptrend, but it's still in a daily downtrend. They've got a lot of work to do to produce a daily uptrend. They have to come all the way up here and take out that high. I doubt they'll do that. I'll bet they put in a lower high and then find a J hook out of there off of support before they take out this high. But I could be proven wrong. All right, I'm just saying that. But you can see here's XLE underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. Look for XLE to possibly make a 3-candle move up to the all-time high anchored VWAP and probably get rejected, making that lower high right there at that all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, so watch energy for today and tomorrow. Today and Monday. Look for them to possibly ride up here and spike this area. I don't think they'll hold it. I'll be surprised if they do. If they were able to get up here and hold, that'll be nice, but I don't think that's going to happen. So there's XLE, still in a daily downtrend, climbing their way out of quadrant 1 and actually climbing their way out of the lower third. All right, they're still neutral bearish because they're underneath the midpoint here. All right, so if they maintain, if they get back underneath the lower third, they're going to be bearish in my book. But right now, neutral bearish, moving up and holding the higher ground right here for 2 or 3 days. Okay, you can see price action for Wednesday was an inside day, lower high, higher low, closing inside a bullish trap, holding that higher ground up inside over the curling 17 EMA. We'll see how far they get. So that's just the XLE. Let's take a look at UNG. Oh, UNG popping this morning. Ooh, I got some calls on UNG on this pullback here because I thought I missed it on this, and when I saw that, I said, hey, gonna get some of these. All right, so here's UNG popping up this morning. Price action for UNG. Okay, both UNG, USO, both in uptrends. Higher low, higher high. This is Wednesday's candle. Closing over bullish trap and over the rising 17 EMA. Climbing their way into the upper third. And you can see price action for today is up in quadrant 4. Nice move for UNG. Again, I'm looking for a target of 20. Right up there. Looking for a target of 20. All right, so UNG climbing out of making the higher low and looking for it to produce a higher high. We'll see if they can get that done. So a lot of wick up there, and this is a red candle, so I don't know how far they're going to get. I'd like to see them just get up here and consolidate. That would be better than to just spike up here, because I think with these sellers here, it'll get rejected again. We'll see. UNG on a daily chart is in an uptrend right there. Let's take a look at USO. USO's looking good too. It's just not. Wow, look at USO. All right, here's Wednesday's candle. That's a bullish engulfing, okay? So you got to kind of fill that in. All right, so we close down here, and USO bully engulfs and gaps up over the whole thing. What a big rip to the upside. Nice candle on USO, all the way at the top of quadrant 4. Let me just say that's a new high. How long ago is that? I got to see. So that's about a 6. I'm going to call that, since this is about a 5. That's a 5-month high right there. Okay, so nice work on USO. Again, we had a little battle. I thought it would have lasted for 2 weeks. I think this is kind of premature, but who knows? Energy's looking, energy's doing well right now. So energy, USO, breaking over the top of this. I didn't know if they would break that apex there between in the W pattern. So nice work for USO. But let's go back and visit Wednesday's candle, which is a outside day. Okay, got a kind of a higher high and a lower low, closing inside a bullish trap over the rising 17 EMA. Notice Wednesday's candle up in quadrant 4 as well. Now we're now we're banging on the top of right here, the top of this quadrant 4 area. So nice work. Actually, we're just coming up over it. If we could get up here and consolidate there, I'd like to see them consolidate here for 2 weeks. That would be nice. Put in a nice plateau, a nice new floor to launch off of. All right, so there's USO. Nice work on that one. Let's take a look at some precious metals. Both are in downtrends, silver and gold. All right, silver putting in an inside day, closing over a bullish. No, a lower low and a lower high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17, but underneath the midpoint and underneath the 12-year high anchored VWAP. Gold looking a little bit better because you notice silver's down here in quadrant 2. Look at gold. Gold's up here in the upper third, actually now in the upper quadrant number 4. Okay, gold, higher low, higher high, closing over all-time high anchored VWAP, over the bullish trap, and over the flat 17 EMA there. So there's gold looking much stronger than silver. I would have thought silver would have had a better year than a better performance than gold, but gold's doing well right here. I guess Bitcoin's doing well. Gold's going to do phenomenal then. All right, so there's gold in an uptrend back in quadrant 4 for, we came down here, came up once, twice, 3, 4 times. So they're knocking on the door to go higher as well. All right, let's take a look at a few sectors. SMH. SMH still in an uptrend. Friday's candle, lower low, lower high, closing inside a bullish trap, but over the 17 EMA. Up in quadrant 4, SMH still bullish. All right, just not moving up these last 2 or 3 days. SMH. Let's take a look at XLK. It's technology doing about the same thing. Again, lower high, lower low, closing over under bearish trap underneath the 17 EMA. XLK still consolidating right through here. SMH in an uptrend. XLK not making lower lows, so still in an uptrend as well on XLK. Looking really bullish, hanging out in quadrant 4. SMH now in quadrant 4. Is it still in quadrant 4? Yeah. Still hanging out in quadrant 4. That's bullish. Let's take a look at XLF. We got some financials that are supposed to report this morning. Is that today's candle? Not liking that. All right, anyways, here's Friday. Here's Wednesday's price action. Lower high, lower low, closing over the bearish trap, but underneath the falling 17 and underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, maybe that gets going later today. I think Wells Fargo is going to report today if they can find their P&L, or if they choose to, they may choose to switch to another day. So here's XLF, all right, still in the upper third, so that's neutral bullish right up there. Okay, back here kind of neutral. Still in an uptrend, still looking good on XLF, holding this higher ground. The only problem is we've got consolidation under prior consolidation. Here's our consolidation, and even though that spikes up there, I still view it as prior consolidation. So we've got consolidation under prior consolidation. That's a little bit bearish in my eyes, so we'll see what happens. But notice they have not taken out this low, and they're not making lower lows. So nice work on XLF, trying to hold off the meltdown. Let's take a look at a few sectors. Well, first one we'll look at is industrials and utilities. They're both in downtrends. Let me pull those up. Trash that out. Okay, XLI. Both in downtrends, hanging out on the midpoint. They're on the bullish side of the midpoint. They're just kind of neutral. Both in downtrends because they broke these lows here below the 17. Okay, price action underneath the falling 17 EMA and underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. Putting in a bear flag hockey stick, possible spike to the downside. We'll see where they want to go with XLI. XLU doing the same thing. Okay, a bear flag hockey stick. Again, they took out these lows, so they're in a downtrend right there. XLU's in a daily downtrend. On the bullish side of the midpoint, just kind of hanging out here, still neutral right there. Let's take a look at XRT. XRT, if they get below this candle, definite downtrend. For me, they've been moving down for the last 20 days or so. They had a low here. They made a lower low. You could say it's below the 17, so that's a downtrend. But all in all, they haven't broken this right here. So this could be just a pullback to the trend line. We'll see what happens, all right? XRT, again, we've got consolidation, all right? Under consolidation, that's bearish. All right, so XRT moving up and giving up part of it, all right? Kind of like in the same boat as XLF. Notice they moved up and they didn't quite do a 180 reversal. They didn't wipe out all of it and more. They're still kind of melting into the prior higher low right there. That's what XLF is doing. XRT seems to be pulling the same type of maneuver. All right, let's take a look at IYT, and then we're going to call it a day. Okay, IYT, and then we'll take a look at the economic package. All right, IYT in a downtrend. They took out this low right here below the 17. These lows below the 17, and this low below the 17. So IYT in a downtrend, kind of melting up in bear flag pattern right here. All right, does that mean possible another move down to this area here? We'll see. Maybe they can climb back up on top of this falling all-time high anchored VWAP. Looks like they definitely want to test it, and that would be a test of the upper third area right there. You can see price action as the all-time high anchored VWAP kind of lining up with the upper third on IYT. Still in a daily downtrend, but moving up. All right, no longer moving down, so that's nice. If they can maintain this, they could find themselves melting right back up through all of this negativity, including the falling 17, the falling 8, and now the falling anchored VWAP. You can see they've transitioned over the falling 8. They're in the process of transitioning over the falling 17. And if they keep this up, they could find themselves transitioning over the falling all-time high anchored VWAP. That would be nice. Consolidating up here in the upper third would be nice. Still puts them in a downtrend if they consolidate up here. But let me just say that puts them in prime position to break into quadrant 4 and start challenging the breakdown candles up here. Okay, so there's IYT on the daily chart. Let's take a look at the economic package. You got the dollar still making higher lows and higher highs and higher lows and higher highs. And guess what? Another higher low. And we're banging on the door for the next higher high. Okay, so there's US dollar still bullying. We don't want a strong dollar because just makes our goods and services more expensive overseas. All right, so dollar closed Wednesday or Thursday. Don't know what happened with which day it is. Let's just see what we got. That was Thursday. Okay, so they closed Thursday around 109.16, 109.10 area right there. Let's take a look at max pain. Max pain for today is 590 with 1 1/4 puts to each call. I don't really see a whole lot of puts there, so I don't know that we're going to get a put squeeze. I do see us probably melting up to 590. The question is, we have to make a higher high on SPY or a significant higher high in order to negate the downtrend. If we fail to do that, we could find ourselves right back down at 585 and headed towards 580. All right, so max pain. Again, 1 1/4 puts that expire today. For each call that expires today, max pain 590. All right, the earnings calendar. Let's see who's going to report. So I guess Wells Fargo pulled out. That's not going to be good for the financials. All right, so you can see we've got some familiar names, but nothing that's going to move the markets. Wells Fargo and Bank of America were scheduled, according to this, to report today. I guess they both pulled out and chose another day. So it's probably next Friday. We'll see what happens. All right, so there's the earnings calendar. On Monday, who do we got for Monday? KB Homes, that's it. Again, some familiar names, but nothing that's going to move the markets today or Monday. All right, let's take a look at the economic calendar. Remember, Thursday we were off in observance of our ex-president's passing. Employment situation, 8:30. All right, so it's probably coming out in a minute. Thank you, Alan, if you post it. Consumer sentiment at 10 and a rig count at 1. Really light day today. All right, so really light day. So not much for earnings, not much for economic events. Probably a continuation of the current trend. We have a current 2-hour downtrend. It's going to take some work to negate that. They're going to have to get it back up over 590. I don't know where they are now. Looks like we're getting a little rip in something. So we'll see what happens here. All right. So there's the earnings. We did the earnings. We did the dollar. We did the Max Payne. And we did the economic events. All right. So I'm going to get this rendered and get it out. All right. For traders. And if you got any questions, post them up in the chat area. Good morning, Roasted and Bobby. All right. And I will do my best to answer those before we open up. All right. I'll see you guys in about 45 minutes. All right. And we'll get the market opened up.